strategies that you teach, do they differ much from the regular graduate training in massage courses?
Yes, they differ very markedly from what people learn. For example, in the neck, students learn 40 assessment tests and how to palpate like 18 different ligaments in the neck and the back. They learn how to put their finger right on every single ligament. And most therapists I've ever trained cannot do that. They don't learn ligamentous anatomy, which is really a detailed part of the fascial network. But it's a part that tears and gives pain more than any other in the body. Ligaments are not very vascularized. When you hurt your muscle, you hurt some other part of your body, you often heal more quickly. Tendons and ligaments, in this case, we're going to work more with ligaments. They don't heal very well. They don't heal very quickly. And if you know about that, it's kind of like the orphan of massage and body work. And once you know that kind of anatomy, you know that kind of detailed assessment, your work is much more targeted. It's like being a detective without a gun. So you can find precisely exactly what's happening and whether you can help them or whether you can't. It's as important to know who you cannot help as who you can. I've had people I've assessed and sent to somebody else because I knew I couldn't help them. They got help and they referred me people for the next 20 years. Doing good work is what's important. That's the best kind of advertising.
Fantastic. Now, in our recent communications, I've also learned that you incorporate the AIS, or the Active Isolated Stretching and Strengthening Technique. How did you stumble on this technique, and how long have you been using it? The people that have been inquiring about the courses have said, what is this? It sounds like MET, or muscle energy technique, or it sounds like PNF stretching. Is it going to be different? Do I need to do it? How would you respond to those inquiries?
Well, I really knew about it maybe 20 years ago, but never really was curious enough to find out about it. I never experienced it. I remember I was teaching in Florida, and the person who was assisting me had worked in Aaron Mattis's office for a while, and he's the man who developed Active Isolated Stretching. And I said, well, try it on me. And after 3 or 4 minutes, I said, this is really good. And I've been doing stretching and all sorts of exercise things for a long time, and it just struck me as very uniquely different. I need to feel something in order to know what I think about it. And so then I pursued it. I investigated it. I actually had a friend of mine go down and look at Aaron's work, and she came back and she said, this is amazing stuff. He's working with people who have incredibly difficult bodies, people who have ALS, people who have Parkinson's disease, people who are athletes who are, swear by his stuff. And it's quite different. I've been using it for about 5 years. I've been teaching it for quite a while because I wanted to share that information with lots of people. And it's very different from the MET techniques and PNF. It really enhances flexibility and strength in a very different way. I've never seen anything that could increase a person's flexibility as quickly. When I first learned about it, I did this for about 5 hours a week. I had it done on me. And my flexibility completely changed. Now, if you're really flexible, your strength changes because you can really strengthen your body through a wider range of motion, which is really important. It uses some of the same principles of reciprocal inhibition, but applied in a very unique way. For example, you never hold an AIS stretch. You're always moving. It's constantly, you're moving through your range of motion, and the person actively participates, and then you just work at the end. It's not very strenuous to do as a participant. As a therapist, I mean, as a participant, they're really working, really hard to do this. And they learn how to do a lot of it themselves. You train them how to do it for themselves, and it makes a huge difference in their lives. It has you do the stretches hundreds of times in slightly different positions to get the distal part of the tendon and ligament and muscular structure. It works on all the different structure. It works on joints. It works on ligaments. It works on tendons, muscles, and it strengthens them, and it makes them more flexible than they've ever been in a way that really rewires the brain. And it also works with neurological diseases by rewiring the brain to be able to do things that a person never could do before. So in my experience, I could never help people like that before. And it works for people who are elderly. It works for people who are athletes. It works for people who are injured. It works for people who have neurological diseases like cerebral palsy, MS, Parkinson's, and so forth.
Okay, well, fantastic. The other question that we've been getting a lot of with inquiries about the courses are, which course should I do? The orthopedic massage for the neck, or the AIS method for the neck, or should I combine those, or should I just do the AIS upper body and lower body, or should I just do the orthopedic massage, neck and lower back? Do they interact?
They interact a lot. So, for example, let's say somebody wanted to take two things. I would say take the neck and the AIS for the neck as well as the orthopedic massage, because they really work together. Or take the lower body, orthopedic massage, and the lower body. Of course, it would be great to do them all. But if you can't do them all, I would do the one of each, so to speak. So then you really learn thoroughly how to work with the body. And if you don't like to do exercise with people and flexibility, you might just do both orthopedic courses. It's really an individual choice. I had a student once who was learning the shoulder from me, and he did the shoulder workshop like several times. And he was known as the expert in Chicago on the shoulder, but people would assume that he knew everything about the body because he knew everything about the shoulder. There are tons of different ways you can injure your shoulder with many different tendons, joints, etc. And so, finally, after 4 or 5 years of being the shoulder expert, he said, I have to do the whole thing because it's kind of terrible to have people come to me and think I know about the back and the neck and the elbow and the knee, and I don't. So he then finished the course and has done extremely well.
Oh, fantastic. No, I must say that as time wears on, the AIS workshop sounds great too. If it's kind to a therapist in terms of energy levels, it's probably one of the biggest burnout factors that there are in the industry, as you'd well know.
It's incredibly easy to do. There are, out of 175 stretches, there are only 3 that require some strength on the part of the therapist. And most of them, if you do it right, it's not very difficult, but the person is getting incredible workout. And I remember when I work with my students, I tell them, put on an extra half hour of AIS for free for all of your clients. But what happens is half of them say, oh, I got to have this every week. So now instead of having an hour session, they're having an hour and a half or 2 hours because they really want both, because it's a very enjoyable thing to get and to have done to you, and it changes your body dramatically.
Oh, fantastic.
Perfect marriage between these two things.
Okay, oh great. Now, I was well aware of the fact that you authored a number of expert books on pain and injury management. However, again, after having spoken with you, holding workshops in Australia in March, as we know, I got a very strong sense that your passion and energy for the art of good communication, so much so that this led us to talk about the book that you've recently co-authored. So please bear with me, there is a question coming up. What intrigued me was hearing you explain how this worked, and that any therapist who cares to learn it and apply it will improve their communication skills. So it seems that in terms of better communication skills, this means that your phone inquiries turn into clients. They're not just inquiries and people just hang up. You're better able to find out about people's injuries, and your communications lead to rebooking more clients more often.
When you make a real connection with a person, that's when they come to you in a serious way. When I see the person the first time, I only do an assessment usually. I don't do a treatment.
Okay.
And I make a connection with the person. I don't want to do my work unless it's going to really be successful. So I make sure the person understands what's going on in their body, what it's going to take. It's going to probably take coming a couple of times a week for a few months, and then once a week, and then maybe an ongoing relationship for years to keep them under maintenance. So being able to communicate well is incredibly important to having a successful practice. And I had a school for about 30 years or so, and our students were more successful than most of the other students who went to other schools in our region. And the reason I think that's true is that our students spent 150 hours learning how to communicate. And so create a relationship that's meaningful for the client. And they have a client, for life when they need you. They don't have to do you all the time if they don't need you, but they know you're there and they have a deep connection with you.
Okay, so it's what we'd see most often is that people think they're already great communicators. Are all these people really great communicators? Are we all
everybody
great?
has some trouble in their life in communication. And usually when we have trouble, the natural thing for most people to do is think it's the other person's fault. It's not me that's, being, nasty or sarcastic or whatever it is. It's the other person. They're complaining, it's their problem. It takes 2 people to make a conversation work and 2 people to make a conversation not work. So if one of the people changes, for example, let's say somebody says something a little nasty to you, you have the impulse usually to get defensive or to attack back. How could you talk to me like that? When someone's attacking you, they're actually having some trouble communicating what's deeply felt or what's upsetting them. So if you don't take it personally and you're very skilled, you could just repeat back what they said, do what we call empathize or mirror, and say, and it sounds like something's upsetting you. Are you upset with me? So you move into a different place. You don't just get into an altercation. Now, some people do okay with their clients, but not okay with their family. And some people do okay with their family and not so good with their friends. Everybody's a little different. Usually your family is the most difficult. But it really spills over into everything we do. And the people who are really successful in this work are usually naturally good communicators. Those kinds of therapists that they seem to have a lot of clients for some reason. They don't have to be necessarily extraordinary therapists, but they're always booked because people connect with them. And they know how to empathize with people. They know how to deal with an issue when someone oversteps a boundary, when a client is chronically late or doesn't pay you on time. They know how to deal with it in a way that empowers the client, gets at the root of the issue, and adapts to what's going on.
That should be in every course 101.
Absolutely. It should be in every course in the world for every person starting in first grade.
Yes, 100% agree. Can we run this workshop when you're here?
Yes, I'd love to teach a communications workshop, conflict resolution, communication. That's what I do a lot of with my life, with companies, with individuals, with small groups, with therapists, with schools. It's very exciting work that enhances everybody's work and life, and I'd be delighted to teach a course in it.
Oh, that's a done deal.